I'd like to share something with you. So, this is an article that I saw online, and this court document was shared online. And as you can see, Cindy Seeley Hendrickson. So, this is the judge that's been on my parentage case in Santa Clara County since 2023. This document was filed December 3rd, 2025, and it's denied by Cindy Hendrickson. It is a request for um, a court reporter, a reporter or media to be present in the hearings. Okay, I'm going to read you this article that I saw yesterday posted online. In the first few months of Judge Cindy Hendrickson's judicial career, she was assigned a high-profile domestic violence case where my media request was also denied. In that matter, a young woman at the center of a high-profile rape case came to believe that her husband had set her up for the assault, and she sought protection through the family court. Her husband hired attorney Annie Fortino, who produced records from the woman's Contra Costa divorce case heard by a private judge in which she had lost custody of her children after a friend of her ex-husband stated she had a medical condition that rendered her unfit. After denying our media requests, Judge Hendrickson held the hearing in which she maintained the temporary restraining order, but required the woman to, listen to this, live in a barn just a few feet away from the San Martin home where the husband was permitted to live with his new girlfriend. At the barn, there were cameras trained to monitor the woman's every move. I'm going to read this because it sounds really absurd. After denying a media request by this author, so this author asked to sit on a hearing that Judge Cindy Hendrickson was presiding over. It later came out that during this hearing, she maintained a temporary restraining order, but required the woman to live in a barn just a few feet away from the San Martin home where the husband was permitted to live with his new girlfriend, with cameras trained on the barn to monitor the woman's every move. I recall sitting in the courtroom listening to a judge who had campaigned during the Me Too movement. So the author of this article moves on to say that she recalls that this very judge, Judge Cindy Hendrickson, when she was campaigning to be elected judge, so she ran for election, the general public voted for her. But during this campaign, she apparently was capitalizing on the Me Too movement. And Judge Hendrickson claimed that she would make the courts better for women. But in fact, since Cindy Hendrickson has been a judge in Santa Clara Family Court, she has not only done the very opposite. Every case that was observed, the outcomes were worse for women. She made things worse for children and men as well. She created favorable conditions mainly for the attorneys that she was working with, so that they could charge vulnerable families and victims of sexual assault. So this journalist goes on to say that Cindy Hendrickson leaves behind a shameful legacy for women in the legal profession. Every woman who once believed in the courts can no longer truly believe based off their experience with Hendrickson. She went on to say that her reporting will ensure that Hendrickson's legacy is carefully documented so that the children and grandchildren of those affected by Hendrickson's rulings and the nonprofit DVC who were involved will know their real history. So this is the article that I saw posted online, and this is a screenshot or a picture of an example of how Cindy Hendrickson doesn't allow the media in her courtroom. So this, again, was dated recently, December 3rd, 2025. She declined to let media present. And it's very similar to the conduct she behaved when she first became a judge. Yeah. So, my response to this article. When I saw this article, I saw it yesterday. I just broke down crying when I saw it. I've come upon stories from other litigants that have been in Cindy Hendrickson's courtroom, and the way they've been treated, spoken to, the way their cases have been handled have been extremely unprofessional, extremely cruel, and nowhere close to following our constitutional rights, our legal laws. And to hear that so many people have suffered under this woman, and these are people who are vocal. So who knows truly the full number of people that have been impacted. And I would like there to be an audit on Cindy Hendrickson's courtroom to do an actual review on all the court cases that she presided over, and to look at the data, what was going on, who were the lawyers involved, what were the outcomes of the litigants, what was the actual filings and motions, and were they actually reviewed correctly, and was the law actually applied? I walked into Judge Cindy Hendrickson's courtroom desperate for protection and help, because I had been trying to manage an abusive relationship for 3 years at that point. And I was extremely vulnerable. I had a newborn in my arms. I was wearing a diaper, you know? I was truly in postpartum recovery, breastfeeding, trying to make sense of the lawless behavior of my ex, and then being floored by how his family and his colleagues around him, his family friends, supported him regardless of his poor conduct, regardless of his abusive behavior, regardless of the fact that he basically was breaking the law, right? And then to walk into Hendrickson's courtroom and to be screamed at and yelled at by this woman, being told that I'm a liar, regardless of the evidence that I presented, denying me due process. I experienced torture. I was tortured for 20 months. When did she take over my case? She took my parentage case. It was July. Nope, I'll date it back. When she dismissed my first domestic violence restraining order. So that was May 2023 to present. But particularly May 2023 to November 2024. Pure torture, making my daughter suffer, making me watch it and witness it, disregarding all of the evidence, all of the disclosures of help. And then now I have not seen my daughter in 232 days, and she purposefully had a conversation with my ex in court, and they decided together that they were going to extend my no contact for 5 more months, not allowing me to at least to get virtual visits.